Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. We're just going to do a garden tour. All the fall colors are out. I've been working on some cleanup and getting stuff done. It's now November 2nd, I guess. It's Halloween on Friday. Yeah, just looking at colors and some updates here. I do need to trim. This is one shrub that gets really nice color. But you can see it's real spindly. So I need to trim it down so that it starts really filling out. This is an aronia. This one is low scape mound hedger. I got it on clearance a few years ago, so I just kind of let it, especially when I get things on clearance, I let them go a couple years, don't worry too much about trimming. And now that it's established, I can really start trimming it hard. So it forms more of a shrub instead of these spindly two little spikes. I did plant another Betony Humolo stackies down there that I got on clearance. By the way, if you're local in the Twin Cities or adjacent, Bachman's started 75% off their perennials. They are pretty picked over, but they had, at least at the ones I've been to, they had a lot of hostas and daylilies left, so, and then a few other random things. I do plant all the way into November, even perennials, especially up against a structure like this. I know that's a warmer microclimate. Hopefully the wind isn't too bad on the mic. It is a windy one today. Anything kind of up against the structure is a little bit warmer and less exposed just because the structure is there. So, but yeah, I've planted out in the middle of the garden in November, and I get shredded leaves from my aunt and can kind of mound those up around things that I plant. You can see a lot of the annuals have died back from the frost here. I may or may not cut those back. I'm not going to right now just because we're busy clearing out my pots. Although that Angelonia there is laying on top of the heuchera, so I might cut that back just to give some airflow. Hostas, some of them got pretty burned by the frost. Their leaves got frozen. I do try to clean those out just so they don't harbor, because I do get slugs and earwigs, and I don't want to harbor any eggs in those leaves. You can see they're kind of all turning their golden color now. But I wait to do that. I don't cut them. I just wait until they soften up, and then you can just kind of yank the leaves out with no resistance. So that's much easier. This hanging basket is still blooming even after frost. We've been in the 40s, kind of typical November temperatures now. We had a warm October, at least the first half of it. Yeah, I planted a few more of the perennials from my stash, but likely what I have here, I will overwinter. I did pick up a couple more at Bachman's. Actually, this was one. This is a heucherella called Pink Revolution that I believe is the same one as that one over here, blooms beautiful pink. You can see I have the shredded leaves mounded up around it to help insulate. And yes, there's a risk that things won't survive when you plant them late. But if they do, they'll be a lot more hardy next year. You can see all the blooms on the toad lily back here. Because they came out of, look at these, not bothered by the frost last week at all. Really cute. Yeah, if they make it till spring, then you don't have to, they're essentially not a new planting anymore in the fall or in the spring and in the summer. So they don't need extra water. They don't need any of that because they've been through the whole winter already establishing their roots. We've been really dry, so I did water my tree. You want to keep watering any newly planted things if you're not getting rain, that is. Solid rain, a good inch a week. You want to keep watering things until the ground freezes. This is one annual that wasn't bothered by the frost. The other salvia were, but this one wasn't for some reason. These are I showed these last week too. Rock and Play in the blues. The blooms are turning brown now on the Limelight Prime hydrangea. But you can see how this diacia kind of crawled up into the branches. So that looks really pretty. Now the leaves are dropping. Go look out here too. This viburnum is starting to turn. These get really pretty color. This is American cranberry, Bailey's cranberry viburnum, a more dwarf compact variety, although it is much taller than the 6 feet it's billed at. This one is probably 6-7 years old now. I bought it as a clearance plant. In fact, I had 3. One of them has died. The other might die. I don't know. This diascia is looking fresh still. But the dogwood has lost most of its leaves now. So I'll just enjoy those red stems for the summertime. I do need to plant some helenium here, but these snapdragons are so frost hardy that I haven't had the heart to dig them out. But I love how the Millennium Allium, how those stems turn bright yellow. It's so pretty, so fallish. Gorgeous. I even like the dead Alternanthera annuals here. That texture of they're so coated in blooms that they look kind of cool, even when they're all dead and brown. And drops of Jupiter, oregano, just all season interest. And you can leave these, they do reseed. As I've said, they reseed freely, but you can leave these seed heads up all winter. So it's really 4 seasons. And then they kind of stay evergreen for me, even here in Minnesota. You know, with like, you can see how they sprout at the base. And that sticks around all winter. And then when I cut it back right away in the spring, you have this sort of green chartreuse carpet of leaves. So even early on, they're very, very pretty plants. Let's see. Sedum are all kind of dying back now. You can see we got our lawn aerated, so it looks like little poops all over. And then we got a little bit of sprinkles, enough to soak those aeration plugs, so it's like really getting stuck in my shoes right now. Kind of messy out here. Not enough rain to really soak into the soil, though, unfortunately. So yeah, sedum kind of going dormant. I, of course, leave the seed heads up all winter for winter interest. I know if you do have broken ones, you can cut them. You have to cut the seed heads. You know, sedum stems, any stems that are hollow, are a good nesting spot for beneficial insects that are native, like the little native solitary bees that we have. However, you have to expose the inside of the stem. So leaving the seed heads up, they can't get into the stem. So if you cut some of them back, then they can, up to maybe about a foot above the ground or so. Same thing with the hardy hibiscus. I'll cut that back. Pretty red stems on it, though, for the fall. But yeah, cut those back and it exposes the hollow stem so the little bees can crawl in there or whatever other insects. I'm excited next year, this kind of gap in the middle where I planted the Joe Pye weed. That variety is called Phantom. More of a compact, bushy Joe Pye weed. There's a Leotris behind it. I added a 3rd switchgrass to this group. Unfortunately this year, normally these grasses are just spectacular this time of year, but this summer the kittens just decimated them and laid them flat, unfortunately. Feral kittens. So hopefully next year. I did, as I was planting things, I had a bunch of drumstick allium in here, and I dug up a bunch of those bulbs and had to replant them, and they promptly sprouted. So they'll be fine. They'll go dormant for winter and resprout in the spring. And then I have 2 helenium planted next to each other there. Next to the aster, pretty much done blooming now. There's just sporadic little pops of blue here and there. This gigantic plant. But I did get one bonus. Oh, I have another bud too on this little phlox. That's the Proven Winners opalescent phlox. Mostly cut back now. I do cut this back because phlox is prone to powdery mildew. So I'll do that with all my phlox. But my little container, the poor Rudbeckia, is kind of done. But my little clearance plant fall container is doing well, except the Alternanthera got killed from the frost. I didn't know wire vine was so hardy, though, so I did save one of them from another planter. And Gomphrena got killed back, but it holds on to its color for a long time in the blooms. But this would be perfect. Like, this is a perfect seed head. All of those seeds you can harvest. Nice and dry. That's perfect for her. And Gomphrena seeds are really easy to harvest, and it's really easy to grow from seed. Shasta daisy, this is the Daisy May. That tends to stay kind of evergreen for me up until maybe if we get like a really cold snap, if it's not covered by snow. can see more pink gomphrena blooms, even though the plants have died back. They hold on to their color. This coreopsis is still blooming. I just planted that a few weeks ago. A month maybe. And all the zinnias died. This white gomphrena died, but again, the color in the seeds. Marigolds, these were tucked up against the garage. Normally they are susceptible to frost, but this is a little microclimate. I do have an evergreen to plant back here, so I do need to pull those out to make room for that. Normally I wouldn't plant an evergreen this time of year. I know it's not ideal if they don't have established roots, but this is the warmest microclimate here right up against the garage. This is the south side of the garage, so I think it'll be hopefully do better back here than it would on the porch in a pot. Straw flowers were unbothered by frost. They're still blooming back here. I'll do more of those next year now that I kind of know their growth habit a little bit. Got another plant that kind of worked its way up here. And my snapdragons in this container. I didn't cut back this plectranthus that got killed by the frost, but all snapdragons, petunias, and verbena, very frost hardy. My friend came and harvested marigold blooms, so I was able to cut things back over here. I'm kind of waiting to harvest the peppers until I'll use them, or if we get another frost, then I'll cut them back. Still haven't harvested carrots yet. Hopefully next weekend I'll do that. And then I will still plant garlic in this bed. I'm going to keep experimenting with the garlic. I'll plant the bulk of it in the ground though, because I've had more luck. These are the Vigo raised garden beds, the 17-inch tall ones. And they're really nice for gardening in. But so far I haven't had as much luck with garlic. I think because they sit higher above the ground than my old beds, which were maybe 11 inches tall. And so they're less insulated. It takes a lot of snow to cover this bed, whereas my other beds would sometimes be completely engulfed in the snow cover throughout most of the season. So I think they're just not as insulated because they sit up higher. So that is of note if you are considering these beds. But I really love them. And this size, I got the 6-in-1. So it's about 3.5 feet across, 5 feet long in that configuration. And they're awesome. And same thing with the berry beds. I got the 2-pack berry beds. So I have this one filled with strawberries. And we're going to see how that does too. If those don't come back, I still have plenty in the ground as backup. I will probably always keep a few in the ground and just have to keep on top of them. You can see all the cutback. I haven't moved this debris out yet from the marigolds. But the ones that I covered and the ones right up against the house here stayed pretty looking. So yeah, lots of green pepper. It's just more than I can use before they all go bad. So I'd like to wait until I either have to cut them back or I have a few more recipes to cook. So use them as I go. As long as we're not getting a freeze, I'll just keep waiting. I check them every day to make sure they're not going soft or anything. And of course the osteospermum is blooming still, so pretty. Zucchini got frosted. There is some fruit left on it though. I'm curious if these will keep growing. They're like small fruits that it was forming. So, I don't know. Just curiosity, I guess. I did, I wish I had harvested the basil. I just didn't have time. During the week, it's really hard. I don't have a lot of time for stuff on weeknights after work, especially when we're not getting any rain and I still had things to water. But I wish I had cut that back in order to freeze a bunch of it. What I've done before that worked really well is I'll cut a bunch of basil, what is it called? Chiffonade? Cut it into like strips. Chiffon, something like that. And then mix it with a little bit of olive oil and kind of lay it flat. Like you fill a gallon freezer bag with the basil and olive oil. Lay it flat and freeze it flat, and then you can just break off chunks of it and use it in your cooking throughout the winter. So I didn't do that, sadly. I'll have to buy grocery store basil in the winter. Do need to pull out the beans. I usually just cut the beans back. And put them in the compost. I don't pull out the roots because I think the roots are good nutrient for the soil if they decompose in the soil because they're nitrogen fixers. So they make nitrogen available in the soil to other plants. Yeah, still I showed this last year, a little more gold leaves. Looks like some maybe fungal spots. Unsurprising for this winter. If you're having an issue with fungus, you can see all the polka dots kind of on the leaf tissue. That's a sign of fungus. It wasn't real bad this year, but we did have a rainy year, so I'm not surprised that I saw that late in the season. If you are concerned about that and overwintering those spores, you can always clean up as the leaves fall. Clean up as much of the leaf debris from the ground as you can. That'll help reduce the number of spores that overwinter. We haven't had a frost since our 30-degree night last week. Just stayed in the high 30s, so killed back all my annuals, but it's giving me time to attend to everything else. Sometimes the astilbe back here, I don't know if you can see real well, but that gets some pretty fall color on the leaves too. I have a whole randomness of varieties. We had a couple drought years and all my poor astilbe just did horrible, so I had to move them back away from the front of the garden because they're just too unpredictable depending on the weather. I think I will be taking out, I'll give this to a friend, this little lime hydrangea. Beautiful blooms for cutting, but like I said, it just drapes open. So I think in the fall, that torch hydrangea that I bought has more of a lacy bloom, not as big a bloom. So I think that'll be good. Oh my God, that wind, holy moly. This is not going to be pleasant to work in today. Ugh. I just had daylight savings time though, so of course it'll be dark at lunchtime practically. Yeah, so it'll stay smaller and it won't droop open and it won't close off my path quite as much. And I will reconfigure some things over here a little bit too. So that will be a spring job. For now it will stay. I've had a lot of luck overwintering hydrangeas either in the shed or on my porch. Just have to pack some snow on top of them. Look at the pretty red stems. This is the Boom Chocolata geranium. Even though it's laid flat, still looks really pretty. Yeah, shrubs do really well for me. As long as you don't want to overwater, they're not actively growing. Obviously, they're dormant. So I usually grab handfuls of snow, just kind of a dribble of water, maybe once a month, or once a month pack a handful of snow on top of it, a couple handfuls, and then that'll slowly melt in. At least in my garage it does. Beautiful gold color. This is why I love Solomon seal too. Look at the color on that for fall, and especially above the ajuga. And look at that beautiful dandelion. That's giant. I have dug that darn root out so many times, and I just can't get the whole thing. It keeps coming back right in front of my frog. Anyway, ignore that, and look at the beautiful ajuga contrasted with the golden whatchamacallit, Solomon seal. Rainbow's End hosta. We've got a bunch of patch of Jacob's ladder here. That does seed itself around. At least those varieties do. We've got a Brunner, variegated Brunner, and another grouping of hostas back here that are fairly young. Beautiful color here on the Bobo hydrangeas as well. And those leaves are gorgeous. And the blooms. This Humalo stackies I just planted again maybe a month ago, and nice bloom there. All of these little seedlings are violas. They just seed themselves and I let them. I did plant this alyssum here from a 4-pack late in the season. But yeah, those are so pretty for most of the summer before they peter out. I have been saving my geraniums. I don't know that I'll save these. These are seed geraniums that I bought in the spring. You'll see the GM foliage stays semi-evergreen as well. There's more of that beautiful gold Solomon seal. And this is like the super tough mystery that I lost the name of that one long ago and have never been able to find it again. Heuchera. I searched for it the year after I planted it because I originally planted 2 and one of them died, and I wanted to replace the other one and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I think somewhere along the way I lost the tag And now I don't remember what it's called. So it is lost to the sands of time, I guess. But it keeps coming back. I did pull out all my dahlias from this bed here, and I rinsed them off, and they're drying right now. I'm going to try, I've been storing them in vermiculite, but I think this year I'm going to try the saran wrap method, where you wrap the tubers in saran wrap. I do have to divide a bunch of them, though, which I'm not comfortable doing. I'm not confident about what I'm doing, dividing the tubers. When I've tried before, I've not been successful, meaning I don't cut them in the right spot, I guess. I planted 2 more humalo. Actually, this humalo stackies was engulfed by the dahlias kind of on the end over there, so I knew once I cut them back I wanted to move it. So it's here, and then I got another one at Bachman's for like $2 on 75% off, so I popped that in. This is the Evening Rose Hardy Hibiscus. And then a helenium for next, well, that'll bloom late summer, early fall next year. And then just open space to plant whatever I feel like. I'll keep planting dahlias on this end because they did so well down there, and I love seeing them from the house and the porch and the patio. You can see I rinsed out my pots and just put them upside down to dry before I store them in the garage. And all the shredded leaves. I get bags and bags of shredded leaves. We help my aunt rake. She has like 5 mature oak trees and 2 mature maple trees. So she has quite a mess to clean up in her yard every year. And so my mom and I go over there and just rake and rake and rake and rake all day long. And she has a leaf shredder. And so we shred them up, and I take bags full home and I use them as mulch. I don't clear this out in the spring because they do break down. They are shredded. So, but the Mr. Bowling Ball Herb looks beautiful. Undecided about saving these geranium. These 2 I grew from seed. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I have so many pots to clear out. But I am trying the paper bag method this year. Just putting them, cleaning off the soil from the roots and putting them upside down in a paper bag. And I'll just keep them in the basement. Not necessarily ideal temperature, but at least it's kind of around 60 degrees down there, I guess, most of the time. This phlox, I just really love the foliage on this one. And I know where I'm going to put it, but I'll have to overwinter it. I won't have the time to prepare that garden bed this year. So, but I have plans for you for next year, and I'm excited to see these gorgeous blue flowers in full bloom next year. What was this one called? Storm Burst or Storm Cloud? Something storm, I feel like. And then this is my favorite heucherella. This was super cheap. They only had 1 left at Bachman, so I snatched it up. I don't have a plan for it, but that's the sweet tea heucherella. And I got another lady's mantle too. That was like $2. I've been keeping up watering on the Teddy Arbovita. I hope we get some rain for November so I can put away the hoses soon, and I don't want to have to haul out watering cans and stuff out here. And the sedum just looks beautiful. Aside from the one that got crushed, or the 2 that got crushed. This one got fully crushed by feral kitten action. This one got partially crushed by kitten action, and possibly adult cats trying to get birds at our little feeders here. This is cat TV for our cats. I don't know if you can see Harriet looking out the window there from inside the house. That was formerly, because this is a south-facing window, so that was formerly my houseplant table until we accidentally adopted the 3 feral kittens from last year, and suddenly they needed bird TV for the winter especially, so that's what this is. This is, by the way, the Rock and Grow Back in Black sedum. Gorgeous plant. I did plant another one of these in the back too. You can see some of the fall color starting on this Virginia, like those leaves get bright red. Such a cool plant. This heuchera also has lasted many years. This one is called Zipper. I think it was the first heuchera I ever planted. But yeah, everything. And this alyssum's still going strong. This is self-seeded. I grew some alyssum from seed many years ago and planted them around this area, and they just kind of seed themselves randomly every year. So I just let them grow where they want to grow. This is the 9-bark tiny wine. Now, definitely I see broken branches here too. I bet the cats are climbing up to try and get the birds. Hope they don't break all my shrubs. Some fall color on the Garden Glow dogwood over here as well. Some of the leaves got crispy when we got frost, but it gets really nice color before it drops, contrasting with the chartreuse green that it is its summer color as well. Lamb's ear, such a bright pop. I do have 2 ladies' mantle over here, so I'm going to plant the 3rd in this area. I did plant some coneflowers. This is kind of a hard spot since these 2 shrubs have matured because it's shaded out by the house on this side and the neighbor's house and these giant arborvitae on that side, but then it gets like a block of few hours of like the hottest midday sun. So I don't know. I've had many things die in this area. This poor St. John's wort, I'm going to have to cut this shrub back hard and see if it flushes back out. It's just been destroyed by kitten action as well. But yeah, I got a bunch of cheap echinacea bowls from Cub, and so I just planted all those in here. We'll see how those do. More hostas. Yeah, these will be divided next summer. They are getting way too big. Particularly this one in front is engulfing everything. Monkey flower. I'm surprised at how good this looks in this cold weather. Didn't like the summer heat, so it is a cool season crop for sure. I do take in my concrete pieces, except for the bench. I do not take that one in. But all of these small statues I take in and store in the garage, including my bird baths for winter, so they don't get cracked from the freeze-thaw cycle. My little mini skirt hosta here. Let's see, we'll go around this way. The honeysuckle, due to the aphid infestation, I did this last year too, cleaning up all the leaf debris I can get once they all fall off. And I will start spraying it much earlier next spring. Hopefully that helps if I stay on it, spraying about every week. You can see I've been working away at clearing out the pots. It is, I mean, if you've seen any of my patio garden videos, this is all pots here. I don't have any in-ground gardens. It's just one massive concrete surface from the driveway up to the back door, all the way up to the house and out in the patio to the backyard. So it's all pots. Otherwise, without the pots, it transforms back into what looks like a prison yard or something. Like, it's very bleak, which is why I go overboard on the pots. And I've slowly built this up over time, collected pots on clearance over the years, and it was not all in one go. That is very much not possible. So I save all my canna, so I've been working on digging those out. The elephant ear as well. Got some more things I'm going to try to overwinter down here. Regular creeping Jenny, like the ground cover, this kind, Goldilocks or whatever that's called, is winter hardy here. So I like to overwinter on my porch. I have some in my pots, and that's just sort of backup. I don't do that indoors. Look at this dog. This is the golden scepter. This is one clump. Look at this thing. It is a monster. So I'm going to I don't even know where to start. Like, how do you even get in there to start cutting all of these apart? Like, that's crazy, but I'm going to try. I do have a machete that I may have to utilize as well. Holy cow. That thing is huge. I should have cut it in the spring, but it wasn't quite this big, but it was pretty darn big. But I was just too like, what do I even do? So, yeah, I don't know. But that thing's a beast. Look how many stems were growing out of it, too. This is a normal size golden scepter. And this is what I do. I let them dry, and then I can use my garden marker and just I'll write like GS for golden scepter on the one or a couple of the tubers, and that's kind of how I sort them. Although this year I found frog tape. Do I have one on here? Yeah. Frog tape stuck to the stems pretty well, so I might, I wrote on it with my garden marker. I might try that as well, just once I cut all this excess off. So anyway, yep, just working away slowly. This is hard, backbreaking work. This is when I kick my spring self for planting so many things. I've read that you can let these go dormant in the pots as well. So I'm not sure. I might just put these near the grow lights. I don't think I will have room under my grow lights for those, but if I put them in front of grow lights, perhaps they will do as well as they would in the window, since I lost my window to cat territory. I still have to dig this guy out. I cut back the elephant ears, but I haven't dug these out yet. I will be overwintering this begonia tuber. This begonia is still looking gorgeous because it was tucked up. It escaped most of the frost damage. So I'm just enjoying that while it lasts. I won't be overwintering that one. Wax begonias do not have a tuber, so I would have to overwinter the whole plant, and I really don't want to. I don't have space. So, but I did dig out the Tradescantia here. I'll have to bring that inside. How glorious that is. I'll need to trim it back to, it's got like a little, look at that. I transition a lot of my plants on the porch. So they go from outside to the porch, which is unheated, but stays warmer and has a little bit less temperature fluctuation. So I feel like that kind of gets them used to more of a, they're going from large temperature fluctuations outside, lots of natural light, to an indoor environment, which does not fluctuate nearly as much. It's more of a constant temperature. So I think that overwintering them on the porch helps with that transition, where they get some temperature fluctuation, but it's not as extreme as just going straight from outside into the house. That's my theory anyways. I think these have gall. I'm going to throw them away just in case, because that is definitely not sprouts, and I don't want, I don't know what gall looks like really other than what I've seen, but I'm not taking my chances. So that was a Manhattan Island dahlia. And then this one had a little bit of it right there. That was one of the random pink ones that did not come out what the package was labeled. So I'll be tossing those. And look at this cabbage, so pretty. Gorgeous color. It's hard to cut stuff back that still looks good or has a few blooms on it. It's hard to say goodbye to the summertime. And again, transform this whole space back into a prison block. Desolate. So, but it takes time anyway. I don't know if I'll get to this. Hopefully the mercury, if we don't get a freeze before I clean that out, I could put that in a big pot and try to overwinter it on the porch. I have been able to overwinter different Dusty Miller just on the porch in a pot. They freeze, but they survive. This pot, so big pots like this, I keep the soil in them over the winter, and they get stacked on the garage floor, and I kind of stack them on top of one another with the soil inside. They freeze together over the winter, but come spring, then I can just pull them out. But man, this had that big, huge salvia in it, and those things root pretty heavy. So these are the ones I hate cleaning out. I'll have to wheel that over. I'll lay it down on a big tarp on the grass. Today is not a great day for it because it's windy, so probably won't do that today. But yeah, clean them out on the grass and just dump the whole thing out in a tarp and then kind of work the soil apart and get the root ball out. Some stuff also I don't get to before freeze comes, so it just gets stored and then I clean it out in the spring. Look at that beautiful, what's this thing called? Caprosmia. It's so pretty. I think one of these will be worth buying full price in the spring as a centerpiece because that is just stunning. Probably pick up a few more again, plant some late pots like end of June, early July when they start clearancing those plants. Those big statement pieces. You can see I cut back all the dead elephant ears, but this one was sprouting. This is how they sprout. So the new leaf emerges from inside the stem of an old leaf. And sometimes like these little leaves just sprout from the root. Like it's like the small tuber that's a pup essentially. But this stuff was fairly shielded from the frost because like this was covered Normally this plectranthus is frost sensitive, but it had the big salvia in front of it, and it's kind of up against the house, and then a canopy of elephant ears over the top protected it. So that's why that still looks okay. Verbena, I will clean out these pots today. I don't think I'll try to I just don't have room to overwinter any of this, and verbena was touch and go last year anyways, so. But I forgot I have to plant that lamb's ear too. I don't know if I'll have the energy for planting today. Look how gorgeous the color. This is even prettier. This is the torch. And now the leaves are starting to dry and curl and drop off. But that had the most gorgeous fall color. Just stunning. So I think this one is kind of similar to Little Quickfire. It's one of the earliest blooming panicle hydrangeas on the market. And the blooms are a little bit more lacy, lace cap kind of look. And then, of course, ages from white to like a deep pink, but it keeps throwing out new shoots. So you'll have kind of fresh white blooms mixed with the pink ones late in the season too. My geraniums, these two geranium in particular, are turning color. I think those are Americana Red. I think I might clear this one out and try and save those. And the alyssum. Snow Princess alyssum, magical plant. Highly recommend that in full sun. I have grown it in part sun. It doesn't do nearly as well. So in full sun is the caveat. And the Dusty Miller over here. This one bit the dust. But the rest of them look good. Whatever's going on there, I don't know. I suppose I could do that big container too. Ugh. So much work. I got so much done yesterday. I was just pooped out. Now it's windy today. We'll see how much I get done. Beautiful color on the smoke bush. Those brown stems are the ones that I believe died off due to verticillium wilt. That is my theory of what this plant has, is verticillium wilt. So we'll see what happens next year. But I love the fall color on the smoke bush. It's so pretty. And still blooming away, the little snapdragons here. Angelina sedum turning nice bright chartreuse green again. And this beautiful blue lavender. I really hope this survives. I really want something blue in this bed, and I've failed with just about everything that I've planted. Has not lived. So we'll see. I do leave all these sedum up for texture and cut them back in the spring. I cut back the geranium, or the geranium. Why do I always get begonias and geraniums mixed up when I'm talking about them? All the frost damage, I just cut it back until I'm ready to move these, clean them out, which will be very soon. Same thing with my beautiful begonias. I don't think I'll plant anything in there, though. Maybe I'll cut some dogwood stems and stick those in there. But the pink mum looks beautiful. You can see now the onyx, or the heuchera. What are those? Not onyx. Those are the plum no, not plum. Plum? It's a Proven Winners one. I got those on clearance at Home Depot. I'm getting them mixed up. This Artemisia is hardy, and I surrounded it with annuals because I know next year it's going to get massive. This Artemisia is very good at spreading around. Look how healthy these snapdragons look. I was going to plant something in here, but I don't know if I want to tear these out. And snapdragons do sometimes survive winter and resprout for me, depending on the year we've had. But this gorgeous hellebore back here, that is the Spanish Wedding. Of course, those are semi-evergreen. They do, by spring, you have to pretty much cut the whole thing back, but they'll keep a lot of their foliage in the winter, over the winter. This bed gets pretty covered with snow, typically. I have another Solomon seal there, turning that gorgeous gold. It's kind of hidden between the boxwood and the hydrangea. These are both Little Quickfire hydrangeas. They never bend down from the rain, and this spot is pretty much full shade all year round because the sun moves east to west, and this is shaded by the house. Gets a little bit, I think, of late afternoon sun, but that's it. Although if that smokebush tree comes out, it might get a little more morning sun than it does now. I don't think I will dig these geraniums. These are the Americana dark red geraniums. I did save 6, 10, 8 of them in paper bags this year. And I just have so much else to do that I don't know I have the time to. I got so much else on my plate. So I guess we'll see. Who knows? If we don't get a frost for weeks, maybe I'll have time, but I kind of doubt that is the case. And the Senecio angel wings look so pretty. Bright white pop. You can see the heuchera appear a little bit better now. And now that that coleus died back, you can really see the color on the blue shadow Fothergilla. I think all Fothergilla are known for really good fall color. And they're an understory shrub, so they like part shade. This one gets some sun. I was worried it would get burned, but I think it's just the right mix of sun and shade for it. Starting to see a lot more color now on the barberry. This is limoncello. Barberry, this one gets really bright color. It's kind of a late one to turn though. But you can see, like, look at that bright red in this patch that kind of turned early on that branch. Just glows. We pulled out, this is where I was going to plant the torch hydrangea, but I think I changed my mind. I think I'll get a different hydrangea to go here in the spring. But my friend harvested the marigolds. These got frost damage anyway. And so that is bare. I do put leaves over this. I think I will have to put down either scat mats or chicken wire or something to keep the cats from using this as a litter box. This is a microclimate too. It stays very sheltered and very warm in this space. I will leave all once these annuals, these will all die off when we get really cold. We've got a lot of salvia and other things in here. I love this grass. I want to plant a whole row of grass back here next year. But I'll leave all the plants. I'm not going to pull these in the fall. I'm hoping that they will help block this from a whole lot of excessive cat litter box use. I don't know. We'll see. But this is Victoria Blue Salvia. Really inexpensive plant. Really great performer. Highly recommend always Victoria Blue. These monster ornamental cabbages. These I will probably cut once the tops of them freeze. I'll cut that off and dispose of them, usually in the compost because those get real stinky, but I'll leave the stems in the ground and pull those out in the spring. But yeah, you can see more color over here too on the dogwood from the backside. And this one's really cool. It gets those white berries. Next year I'll have to do another rejuvenation prune on this and cut it way back. It just got so huge. And I hope my grasses do a little better. This year was not the best year for grasses for whatever reason. And then I planted more of those echinacea bowls back here. Look at this one foxglove bloom kind of hiding. I don't know what the purple one was. It wasn't labeled when I originally bought it years ago, but it just continues seeding. I have Dalmatian peach, which I started from seed and planted back here years ago, and it keeps self-seeding. And then I also did Dalmatian cream back here. So not a lot of these bloomed this year, but they were newly seeded. I do leave the seed heads up so we get multiple generations, hopefully. Someday maybe I'll redo this whole side yard and this will all go. But for now, this is what it is. But yeah. Gotta always have something to work on, right? And something new to experiment with. Look at the caramel heuchera. It's so pretty. That one gets humongous. And I'm starting to get gold color too on the, what's this thing? The Amsonia string theory. That turns nice bright gold for fall. And irises too. I'm glad I left about half the seed heads up. They look really cool right now in the fall. Hopefully you can see those. These are Siberian iris. This variety is Caesar's brother. I cut the ones that were kind of falling over and getting in my way when I was working up here earlier in the year. But I left a lot of them up because I accidentally left one up last year and noticed it looked really cool in the fall. So I thought, I'll have to try that again. And this is the Weigela. You can see the backside. I had a grass that I pulled out of here that was kind of pressed up against the back of it and just got huge. And so I yanked that out, gave away big chunks of it. And I think this will fill in now and be more rounded. It's still recovering from 2 years ago, our 90 inches of snow, because it gets all the snow from the sidewalk gets blown. We have nowhere else to put it. It goes into this garden, which is why I don't think I get a lot of winter kill on my boxwoods either. They're very prone to winter kill. But this is the My Monet Purple Shades Weigela. Really pretty fall color. Beautiful lavender blooms. And it'll be more shrubbish in the proper shape, I think. It's already done quite a lot of recovery since it got crushed from all that snow. And this mum, see, I'm glad I pulled out that grass because it was also just completely blocking this mum. Even though it's kind of wild and crazy this year, I love the color here in the fall. So, yeah, people are taking care of stuff. So I'll let you go here. That's all I've got. So thank you again so much for watching, especially your regular viewers that come back and everybody who leaves comments. It's so much fun. And also just casual people who stop on by. I hope you can get some ideas for my garden as well. That's how I learned so much, is just watching a million videos and seeing what other people were doing. So I hope you're all having a great fall, and we'll see you next week.